Welcome to Hard Hats and Horizons, the podcast where we dig deep into the construction and economic development shaping the future of Dallas-Fort Worth. We bring you insights from industry leaders and visionaries who are driving growth in North Texas. From construction projects to industry trends and insights, we cover it all. So grab your hard hat and join us as we explore the people and projects shaping the skyline of DFW. Now, here is your host, Andrea Pender.
Well, today we have Alexandra McMyler, and she is the CEO of Archer Specialties. So I'm so glad to have you on. We've known each other for, maybe 2-ish years now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I feel like she has an interesting story. She does an interesting service for the industry. So let's just kind of start us off and tell us how you landed at Archer.
Okay. In 2020, I was a stay-at-home mom, and it was just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go back to work. The kids were getting old enough to go off to school, and a friend of a friend knew someone who owned a general contracting business. So I went to work for a GC, admin, learning billing here and there. The owner kind of took me under his wing and was like, "Do you want to learn estimating?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" Like, he taught me how to read plans and do estimates. We kept noticing that there was this one trade that just we couldn't find anyone to do. They were like the ones that were out there were so busy, and it was Division 10. It's like, how hard can it be? It's installing grab bars, Jokes on me, it's pretty hard. But I'm not an entrepreneur at heart. I didn't ever set out to I want to own a business, but there was just this need that existed, and they kind of, that's the joke, right? Is to run a business, you find a need and fill it. And so every day that's what we're doing. There's some days where it's like, things are going great. Other days where it's nothing but fires are dropped in our lap, but it makes for very interesting work. Every project is different.
And every project needs it.
Well, and that's the other thing is, people will be like, "Oh, what segments do you work in?" And I'm like, every commercial building needs a bathroom. Some of them also need wall protection and lockers and flag poles, but every single one has a bathroom.
Well, and when I moved over to the trade partner side, I wasn't that familiar with it, but I kept hearing, "Hey, do you know anybody that does Division 10? You know anybody that does Division 10? I'm like, "I do. I actually know a lady."
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a need. So I'm glad that you were able to kind of see that and step into it.
It's a wild thing for me. It's certainly wasn't my plan growing up to I'm gonna be the latrine queen, trademark. But it's been a wild ride and so fun for me in that I've always been the kind of person, I wish I were a big ideas person, but I am a put your head down and just work as hard as you can, as fast as you can, and every once in a while you look up and go, who'd have thought? Not me. Look at where we are. But it allowed sort of things to fall into place for me. What really sort of precipitated the growth of Archer it was this fun idea that we had to, let's try it, let's see what happens. I found myself going through a divorce a couple of years ago, and all of a sudden it was like, I need to find a way to feed these kids and not just survive. And so this business gave me the ability to dream. Maybe it fails. A lot of businesses do, but maybe it goes great. What if it all goes great?
Yeah.
And it's been really cool to sort of give that to my kids. They watch me every day working hard. They're in the back seat. If you call me at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon about work, my kids are on the call too. They're riding around going to their sports.
Well, and it's one of those things now that they're like osmosis. They're just soaking in so much that they don't even know. Because how old are they?
They're 9 and 11.
So they don't even know that they're learning these things right now. Because my dad had a company and he would, same thing. I'd be in the truck with him while he's doing his thing, checking out how things are going. I didn't realize, I don't think I really put it together until probably I was 25. And I'm like, gosh, I learned a lot by just sitting in that passenger seat with my dad. So
this actually came up recently because I was in a meeting, and the point of the meeting was about, hey, how can we make our meetings more efficient? meetings are too long and there's too many people in them and all this kind of stuff. And everybody's talking about how they're going to like cut down these meetings. And I was just like, oh, everything I know about this industry, I've learned from just sitting and listening to all you guys talk. I didn't go to school for this. I didn't go get any extra training. I literally just sat around and soaked up everything I could. So like, don't keep me out of your meeting just because I don't have a reason to be there. I'm learning.
It's interesting too because there's a system that a lot of companies are going to, and so they only talk about the highlights at the big meetings, and then you're supposed to kind of figure out everything else behind the scenes, which we've all probably been in meetings that that are a waste of time. But sometimes I think about that format, and it's like, well, gosh, if he's not in the meeting, he doesn't know what I'm doing behind the scenes, and then I don't know what he's doing behind the scenes, and she has no clue what I'm doing, so at a certain point, like, sometimes you do need to have those 3-hour-long meetings, because at the end of the day, they really are good.
And to me, like, what's the point of a meeting? Like, is it to update, the guy at the top? Then it can be an email, right? But if the point of the meeting is exchanging of information, if we're going to talk about, if me and a project manager are talking about a problem that they may have, I want the other people in the room to say, hey, the last time I had that problem, here's what I did. Or I got a guy you need to call for that. How else is that going to happen if we're just kind of siloing people so that we're not wasting anyone's time?
Well, and I think it goes back a lot to just conversation. So many people are scared to have conversations these days, or they just want it to be a text message or an email, or it's efficient, but it's that relationship building that is so important in this industry.
And it is funny to me how it feels like the industry as a whole everybody's looking for this gotcha moment. Like, I find myself being afraid sometimes to answer a phone call, answer an email until I have all the information. Because I'm so afraid that they're gonna get me somehow. And I think, to your point about relationship building, once you've worked with a superintendent, a project manager a few times, and you kind of I know which guys I can call, even if I don't have all the answers, and say, hey, what were you thinking on this? How about we do this? What if this? And it's not like, we're all just trying to cover our own backs.
Well, and if you don't have those conversations, you can't get from point A to point B and complete the project. It's interesting. I know that we've been doing a lot of walks with the contractors, and it's like, we're the experts. Like, I'm sure they've built a million buildings too, but this is all we paint. We know all the ins and the outs about the painting, and so let us kind of explain to you what the most efficient way. Or, I know you want us in there tomorrow, but then the walls are going to get banged up, or, so let's have that conversation. It's going to save time. It's going to save money,
And it does. It takes a certain amount of fortitude to have the conversation from a point of, listen, I know you want us out there tomorrow to do this and this and this, but what's going to be best for the project as a whole looks like this, or like what may work better is this. And you're dealing with competing priorities. The superintendent, he just needs it to keep moving.
He needs
he needs you to just not be one of his problems today.
Right.
But it's, if you've got the expertise to say, hey, what if we order this differently?
Yep. Yeah. No, that's it's really interesting I feel like there's so many people in this industry who have just kind of accidentally fallen in, including myself. And those are my favorite stories. I'm like, I just love this. Like, we accidentally landed here and voila, we're CEO of a company. Like, I love that.
Well, I love that. I always say that, like, this industry seems to attract the very best people. There's a few of the very worst. Like, everybody.
That's in every industry. Yeah.
But man, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know if I should name drop, but there is a business development guy for a GC, John Scarborough. This is a year or two ago, and he and I were having a happy hour meeting, and we've become friends, and we know each other. He's got beautiful little girls, and our happy hour was ending, and he's like, hey, go ahead and order yourself dinner and order something for the kids too.
Oh, that's nice.
And it was like, he didn't know in that moment that like we are living ramen to ramen, But it kind of speaks to like the small town nature of this industry.
Yeah.
And that like, I will never forget that. And
No.
he may move companies, I may move companies, maybe I do something else, but like, you know,
I think it's interesting, and I've mentioned this on another podcast, but I feel like you have these guys with their beards and they're hunting and they're all of their things, but then as soon as somebody needs, like, we're raising money or there's a cause, I mean, those wallets come out so fast. And I can't remember what the organization was, but I remember at the end, like, there was some raffle that they could, $100 for a raffle ticket and you would win a shotgun or something. And their goal was, I don't know, I think they wanted to raise $5,000 for this particular fundraiser. So I thought this was pretty clever. They presented a $5,000 check and they're like, no, there's an error. And they had another one of those big checks and it was like $27,000. And the lady is just in tears because she's like, I just thought we were going to raise $5,000. And it's like, you tell these guys to open their wallet and they do.
Yeah.
So people care, like, I feel like the construction guys have the gruff,
Yeah.
but if somebody, I think they're gruff, but they're also family people and all that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It is interesting on how you remember those like little pivotal points in your career. What is a key moment or a challenge that you have had in the last year, kind of getting Archer up and running? And is there a particular challenge that you've had that you've been able to overcome?
Like we have the typical growing pains of any company where it's like, do you scale up and hire people in anticipation of work that's coming, or do you win the work and then be on fire to hire the right people? The way payment cycles go in construction. I mean, as a subcontractor, we finance the jobs and we don't get paid. So, at any moment, that's always the problem. I'm completely limited by the amount of cash I can deploy to buy materials. We could capacity wise take on more projects and do great things, but like I can't overpromise more than I can buy and deliver on a job.
Right.
I had a scenario a couple of weeks ago. It was one of those days where it was just like everything's on fire. And I found myself throughout the day, I drove to a material yard and picked up material and drove it to a job site. I'm doing like the lowest tasks, the most basic, right? That I should be paying someone else to do. But my team is out there working hard. And so, somebody needed material. He couldn't leave the job site and like, I got it. I'll go get it. There was another one where, that same day we'd gotten a call from a good client of ours and they're like, we have to have a bid on this. And it's like, our estimator he's full up. He's working so hard. We'll try. And he's like, they're begging us, please. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. I can do the bid. And at the end of the day, like I was kind of beating myself up because all of the business books say you need to be paying people to do the stuff that they can do and you're only focused on these big overarching tasks. But I realized, like, number one, how am I ever going to fix things if I don't know very well how they work? If I don't try the process myself and see, like, this isn't efficient, what if we did it this way? Also, to be able to step in and help my team, I realized at the end of the day, what I got to do that day was show up for my team.
Yeah. And that's huge.
And
you weren't too good to drive and pick up the things.
And just like to say, like, I see how hard you're working and you are doing, good work. You're doing important work. Let me help you. I've got the capacity for it. I've got gas in my truck. I'll do it. And I think I was really excited about it at the end of the day when I realized, like, oh, what I had today was an opportunity to show up. And I, like, there was like one thing for each person on the team, and it was just like, hell yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. And I can't remember the title of the book, but it was basically all about delegating or hiring it out. And it's like, well, sure, but I don't have an extra $200,000 in my budget.
I spent a lot of time thinking about this. It's like, okay, where is the line though? Right? Because right now we don't have money to delegate these little tasks that are going to take me 5 minutes to do.
Right.
I'd rather just do it.
Right.
And I get it that, that's a trap you fall into.
Yeah.
But at what point do you go, oh no, I've got someone for that? And like, as I think women, moms particularly struggle with this, because yeah, there's a lot of things I'd rather be doing than researching camps or childcare or what we're having for dinner, but like simply who else is going to do it?
Right. Yeah.
It's got to get done.
It's interesting because one of my goals, 2025 goals, has been client entertainment specifically for women and a more tailored capacity. So, I've done lots of things monthly that has really just gotten a lot of women together, but then I'm just like, okay, how do I entertain some of our target clients? And this is obviously not scientific, but I'm hearing a lot of ladies who, well, that's great that you want to take me out for an afternoon of a spa day, and I would love that, but I have to go pick up material, or I have to go plan the kids' camp, or this or that. Like, there's no one else to do that, and I still have to do my job. So I think it's an interesting dynamic, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in 5 to 10 years in this industry as more and more women are moving to the top. Because I feel like there's a lot of young women who have entered the industry, and in 10 years, they're going to be making some major decisions. And so I'm just curious, because the guys are going on their hunting trips and their fishing trips, and it's like, yeah, I'm all, sounds good to me, But I've noticed that a lot of the women, if they kind of have to Tetris, they kind of have to fit it in.
Exactly.
So,
like, it's not like, oh, I'll fit it in. Like, if you're gonna fit something in, something else has to get cut. And so it does feel like there's a lot of competing priorities. Okay, if I'm gonna cut time with my kids, or or it's just maybe not a simple problem to solve. Like, oh yeah, I could miss this, but it means like it's not, oh, I'm leaving my kid at home alone. And they're missing soccer practice, and they're missing, there's a lot of coordination that has to go.
Yeah, I feel like I want to make a note in my calendar or something. 10 years from today, what are we doing? What's it like? I don't know.
Say, like, it's been fascinating to watch men too. Like, I it's quite frequent that somebody will call me and, hey, I got a kid homesick today. It feels like particularly this younger generation of men are trying to step up and take over.
I think there were a lot of changes after COVID.
Yeah,
I think there was a lot of men who, and when obviously we were all home, everybody, but then I feel like they had time to get involved in going to the practice or taking the kids to school, whatever the drop off was. And I know that there's a lot of guys who they come in at 6 and they leave at 3, or whatever their schedule is, because they want to be home to coach the soccer game at the end of the day. And I think it's interesting. Yeah. Let's see, what are some things that have motivated you and some lessons you've learned along the way? So I feel like this can be for Archer, it could be, maybe this is where we kind of bring in some rugby stuff.
There's unfortunately, I have learned so many lessons the last few years against my will, mostly. But I got to thinking about this the other day. I played rugby in college, and it really prepared me in a way that I wasn't aware of at the time for being a business owner in construction. And I mean, the overarching message is just like, on my worst days, things are just tough. I can remind myself, this is not worse than getting hit in the mouth by a 250-pound woman running at full speed.
That doesn't sound like fun.
I love the sport, and it's because it fits my personality very well, which is just try hard, try as hard as you can, and it's like business in that rugby is an 80-minute long sprint. So it's an endurance sport. It's constant motion like soccer. There's no, downs and play clock, none of that. It's just go. It's an absolute beatdown. But you're also having to run sprints in the middle.
The whole time.
And that's what business feels like, right? Is just some days there's just no light at the end of the tunnel in terms of when will this problem be solved? Or Oh,
You're like,
if we just get to this,
is it 80 minutes up yet?
Yeah, exactly. Like we just get over this hill and then it's all going to be solved. And it's like, no, more money, more problems. They just get bigger. And so, I've finally accepted that like that's how it's going to be. And when we get to the top of that hill and we have a new problem, I'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
But like for today, I can just solve this.
Let's
like
be
I
in
can
the moment.
play this down. And then we will address where to go from there. Let's see where we end up, and then we address it going forward.
How many people are on a rugby team?
15 per side.
Okay.
So it's a big field. It's bigger than a football field.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Slightly. It's wider.
Okay.
So
interesting. Interesting. Let's talk about mentorship. Have you had any like formal or informal mentors?
I wouldn't say that I've had any formal ones. And not. I have sort of tried to look for like a woman who's done exactly this and now and like they're there, but you know what? They're busy.
They're busy. Yeah.
They're busy running their own businesses. I've had a lot of great informal people. I realized this the other day where I had a construction question. Yeah, this happens a lot. I have a constructability question where we've reached some problem and I'm like, well, could we do this? And like, I want to call somebody and talk it through before I talk to the client and sound like an idiot, know? And so I did realize like I've got a whole long bench of these people willing to answer my phone call and just talk it out with me and say, well, yeah, you could do that. Or, oh, it's not really done that way.
I think that's a big part of this industry because I feel like I've been doing that since day one. What do I do? Somebody help me. Oh, you need help? Let me help you.
Well, and I feel like I'm realizing as I'm talking to you today, like, so much of what I've learned is just because I'm nosy.
Okay.
Like I'll sit in meetings and they're talking about something and I'm like,
maybe I should learn.
What is FRP? What is Schluter? Like there's I've got a little list of words and what is that? And it's so fun to like in a year or two have a chance to like whip that out.
Yeah. I know all of the acronyms. I know all these words that were never a part of my vocabulary 6 months ago.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too because I feel like with mentorship, sometimes people like land in your lap that you don't really think, well, is this somebody? And then you're like, oh my gosh, this was the perfect person to ask all these questions to.
Right.
So we are going to move on to some industry stuff. Are there any specific challenges you have faced, or is there anything you're seeing with industry trends right now that you guys are having to deal with?
I think at the risk of coming across as whiny, like it's something that is, I think all trade partners, all subcontractors talk about, and nobody's really solved it yet. And I'm like, just bound and determined to figure it out. Is this, how subs finance the jobs? And like, it makes sense. Like contractually, the whole setup is to flow down risk, right? The owner wants to de-riskify, so they push it off to the GC. The GC wants to de-riskify, they push it down to the sub. But I feel like it's an inefficient model. It drives costs up because everyone is so worried about protecting themselves.
Right.
And also, hey, we're a subcontractor that can do great work, but we are limited by how much material we can buy.
Right.
And so, if we could get to a place where it was more common for owners to pay deposits on material, like I'm not suggesting we, I want to get paid up front, like the elevator guys or whatever, but what if I wasn't having to make decisions on ordering material that are probably inefficient and bad for the overall project, but it's because it's the only way I can, like, for instance, breaking up orders. I've got several jobs right now where the work's going to kind of be phased. And so it becomes a very complicated system of like, we're going to order a little bit here and then we're here, and then we're going to pay it off. It's like, it would be cheaper for everyone, for the GC and then the client, if we could order it all at once, pay for shipping once, pay for storage once.
That's interesting.
But, if I don't have $200,000 to shell out right now to buy the material, can't do it.
And then to get paid when?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, something we work hard at. Everybody talks a big talk about being trade partners and working together, but like you can't know how a GC, how someone's going to treat you when the rubber hits the road,
right,
until you've done it.
right.
And it's like, that's tremendously risky.
Yeah.
You know,
I know when I landed in this industry in engineering and the pay when paid, I was just like,
means paid if paid.
what? Yeah,
right.
Which means paid if paid.
And you know, everybody on Instagram and LinkedIn wants to talk about like, oh, subcontractors don't sign these that say, and it's just like they're all like this.
Yeah.
Like I'm a little guy. I don't have the power to negotiate those terms. It's just the way of the industry.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe someday I'll get big enough and have some leverage, but it's not today. And if I want to grow, if I want to win the next contract,
and if we want to get more people in, you know, that's a lot of capital for people to have up front. Yeah, that's a good one.
You know, if it doesn't work like that anywhere else, you know,
right.
If you try to go shopping and you're like, oh,
I'll pay for this.
I'll pay you when I get paid.
Yeah. No, lady, that's called shoplifting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's interesting when you put those into like comparisons of that, you know, it's like, no, you can't take that purse home with you if you did not pay for it, lady.
Right.
You know?
Do you need reliable, high-quality service for your commercial project? Choose Carrco, the most trusted contractor in commercial painting, drywall, and floor coatings in DFW. With over 30 years of experience, Carrco delivers top-tier craftsmanship across Texas. From expert painting and seamless drywall and durable floor coatings, we handle it all, on time and on budget. Transform your space with the professionals at Carrco. Visit carcopainting.com today. Carrco, where quality meets reliability.
What are you most passionate about in your job, and what are some of your future goals?
You know, in my job, I've found myself being really passionate about women in the industry. And like, you know, I'm preaching to the choir, pushing an open door with you. You know, a lot of the women that I've met are through you. But, you know, we kind of talked earlier about the struggles of being a working mom and all that, but I've found that like working moms get shit done. Like even myself, when I look back on myself as a young working woman and I thought I was being productive, I like laugh at her.
I can only imagine. I just have to deal with a dog. We're not going to camp. We're not going to school.
But like, you know, the whole, like, the more you have to do, the more you get done. Right. And so I have an employee. She's a young single mom, and she came to me one day and was like, I have a problem. I need to work from home. She'd worked for me for like 2 weeks at that point. And it was just like, oh, I really would prefer you to have like more experience. You know, this is kind of something that is generally earned. But I was just like, you know what? You've got it. Yeah. You're smart and you work hard. I don't have to tell you twice about things. Yep. Let's give it a try. It's always a decision you could take back, right? If it doesn't work, let's find out. And she is such a rock star. And I really doubted myself in making that decision at the time, because it was like, you know, all the entrepreneurship books or all the businessmen I know would tell me not to do this. But I was like, let's see. And it's been so great.
So we started a book club here at Carrco in January, and the first book that we read was, I forget the official title, but it was all about how Netflix does business. And it's basically how Netflix does business versus how Blockbuster did do business, you know? And so there's a lot of interesting things in there, but one of the big things is like, have a team of people that are, you know, great at what they do. One of the big things was unlimited PTO. And it's like, unlimited PTO, like what? Then nobody's going to be doing anything. Well, if everybody's high performing, you know? And so a big portion of that is they don't care where they work, you know, like if they need to go work from home because they have kid situation, or maybe they have family visiting, or, you know, whatever it was. So I think that kind of also goes with people's like learning style. You know, we all had a learning style growing up, and we all have like a work style as adults.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, just to see where can people thrive? Where can they, you know? Well, that's great. Is she coming into the office at all, or is it
Yeah, she
100%?
comes in once a week.
Nice.
But, I mean, she lives 2 hours away now. She had to move.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
but I was like, okay, we gotta, like we were talking about earlier with the meetings, like
Uh-huh.
we gotta have at least one day where we're all here and helping
Yeah.
each other solve problems and working together on things. But I mean, for now, it works great. And I had someone said to me recently, well-known leader in the industry said to me, there's very few decisions you make that are irreversible.
I like
And
that. Yeah.
there's a few decisions you'll make and it's like, oh, there's no coming back from that. But like most of the things that you agonize over day to day could be undone if it needed to.
Right. Right. You know? Especially when you're trying new things. Like, does this work? Nope. Let's change it. Okay. Let's change it.
And as a reformed perfectionist, it's been a hard lesson for me, but it's so freeing to kind of realize like we're all kind of making this up as we go.
Right. It's not set in stone. We don't have to do this for the next 82 years. Right. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to some kind of personal stuff. We've talked a little bit, but what are some of your hobbies outside of work?
I mean, right now my hobbies are taking my kids to sports. They're heavily involved in sports.
And are you currently coaching, or you used to be
No,
coaching?
God, please no. I did a brief stint as a volleyball coach for the Volley Llamas, which was super fun.
I love it.
It was so fun. My 11-year-old daughter and her friends played volleyball, and it was so fun. It's indoors, so most of their sports are outdoors.
Yeah,
right now.
at least there's air conditioning.
And it's it's one of those things. I could rant about the state of youth sports and like what a business it is, and we're all being taken advantage of. I could do that for a while, but I won't.
Is this just a Texas thing? Because I grew up in Indiana. I know I grew up 100 years ago, but
well, I mean that's what it is. We grew up 100 years ago.
Existed
Youth sports,
no,
and like still managed to get on a college team. Yeah, it's like great to have you.
Yes.
No, it's a booming business, and like
crazy.
Honestly, I should probably exit construction and get into like
there you go,
owning an indoor facility that just charges people and holds tournaments. The money is there.
That's crazy.
But for me, even though I see it for the racket that it is, it's about the lessons my kids are learning. I could care less whether they're any good at soccer or basketball, volleyball, any of that they're playing right now, whether they go on to college or play it at a high level. But what they're learning right now is stuff like how to have conflict with a friend and still be friends afterwards. How to win, how to lose, how to work hard towards something, what working hard really feels like.
Yep.
The physical fitness and all that is like an added bonus. But, I had a conversation with my daughter recently. She was just really put out with one of her teammates. They've been practicing and just going at each other at practice. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you want that girl on your team fighting for you? Like, you're making each other better.
Yeah. What'd you say?
But, and to be able to just really get put out with somebody, but like show up the next day, start over, like those are the life lessons. And I think we've all come across people in our lives where you're like, you didn't get enough of that when you were younger, For sure. That person's never been hit in the mouth really hard.
Are you allowing your kids to do X amount of sports? Is it pick something new every year?
I wish there was like a coordinated strategy, but it's hey, we got a spot on this team.
Okay.
Would he come play for the summer or something? And it's like, oh, it's his buddies, and
here's my money. Exactly. I talked to somebody. I either talked to somebody or read about whatever it was. Their kid would pick something, and whether or not they liked it, they had to commit to it. So it's like, okay, they want to take ballet in the first 2 classes, they hate it. Well, you've committed to it for the semester. Absolutely. So you have to finish it.
Learn how to stick with something. I mean, that happened to me in rugby. Little known fact, I hated it for the first month. But I was too embarrassed to quit. Okay. Because my coaches had all played at West Point.
Whoa, okay.
And I show up out there to tryouts the first night, and they told me later that like, oh no, we thought we were going to just scare you off right away.
Uh-huh,
We weren't going to waste time with you.
Uh-huh.
And he had this woman who was a former Marine. She took the dip out of her mouth, threw it down, and hit me so hard.
She took the dip out of her mouth. Quote of the
I
year.
can't even put it into words how hard she hit me, how hard I went down. And I was literally like, well, this is not for me, but I'm not going to let them think they scared me off.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come back for like, I'm going to do this for a month.
Okay.
Then I'll quit.
Okay.
But after a month, it was like, he's kind of addictive. Getting to hit, so like run at something full speed and hit it just is such a release that I miss every day. Like my old teammates and I, we still keep up and we joke all the time. Like, I think hitting or getting hit would like solve all my problems right now.
You know that I grew up doing martial arts.
So you know the feeling.
Yeah, I do. I 100% know the feeling. It's
okay. Can we do a women's event where we all just like put on pads and just run into things?
That's funny. Yeah, it's it. Well, I did that in high school. So not when I was little, but like my last 2 years of high school. And so what I didn't realize was Master Jacobs was like preparing us for any worst case scenario that ever possibly could have happened in college.
Well, right, and like that's that old saying, like everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Uh-huh.
And it's like
you have a plan.
It's truly something that like you have to train for.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That like you get hit in the mouth, but keep your eyes open. And you know, it's my very first rugby game. I got hit, and I'm laying there, and I remember waiting for like the game to stop. You know, like they in basketball.
Yeah.
Somebody. Everybody stops. I'm waiting for them to like worriedly run over to me, make sure I'm okay.
They already are.
My coach comes over and he leans over. The game has moved on. They are 50 yards away now. And he goes, "Are you hurt or are you injured?" And I was like, I don't even know the answer to this.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh." Shout out Will Riddle. And then I realized, like, I have to get up, and now I have to sprint to catch up.
And you like, may not have been hurt or injured. You were just like the air shot.
Yeah. I was shocked.
You didn't have a plan.
I didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
And not only that, my team's playing a man down until I get over there and plug that hole in our defense. And so, you know, it's been a good lesson. And I try to like, you know, impart these lessons on my kids, and I just sound like a jerk. You know,
they'll get it
like
one day.
It's a different vibe when it's coming from your mom. Are you hurt or injured? You know, but
I just want a hug.
Exactly. But it was, you know, a good lesson. Like sometimes there's not time to just sit and lick your wounds and wait for the attention. Like you got to get up and keep going.
What have you had a defining moment or a philosophy that you live by?
You know, okay, a new one for this week, you know, is time under tension matters. I saw this on a LinkedIn post. I wish I could remember who wrote it so I could credit them. And, you know, if we're going to keep with the sports theme, you know, anybody who lifts weights knows, like, you're supposed to, like, do it slowly. If you're just, like, you're not getting any benefit out of it. You're wasting your time. And it occurred to me recently that, like, as hard as my last 4 or 5 years have been, like, oh, that's time under tension. You know, I've been building a muscle that I didn't even realize was weak or lacking. And it's, you know, it's at the very least, it's a reframe. Right. Of like how difficult years.
Yeah. I like that. Who or what inspires you the most?
You know, I feel like it's kind of a cliche, but like it's all for my kids.
Nice.
And it's been really fun to like take them to work with me, and they can see what I'm doing. And, you know, we do restaurant accessories, right? So some of my favorite projects are restaurants because like we can go visit job sites.
I love it.
You know, I'm a weirdo taking pictures in the bathroom sometimes, but like, you know, I get to show my kids like, oh,
we did this.
We drive down the road. That was an Archer project. That was an Archer project.
I love it. That's probably my favorite thing about this industry is like just driving down and either being a part of it yourself or knowing your friend had a part in it. Or that's what I think it's pretty like we've literally built, you know.
Yeah. And I think every construction person does it,
Yes.
you know?
And their family is all probably annoyed with them. It's part
Yeah,
of
you
it, though.
told us that.
Yeah, Dad, we know.
For sure.
But let me tell you again. Okay, we have a quick fire round of questions.
Okay.
Which are never quick fire, because then I want to dig in and ask more questions. What is the last book you read?
The Gift of Fear is the last one I can think of that's like got a title. I read a lot of just junk and mysteries. I love to read, but The Gift of Fear is really good. I think you would love it.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
You know, quick plug for it. It talks about like our subconscious and like what gives us fear and like how it can help us. And just kind of like paying attention to your intuition. And it's been really cool to see it in action.
I'm gonna look it up as soon as we finish, because you know I like a book.
You will love it.
What is your favorite quote? Or we can skip it.
No, I have like so many. And you know, funny story. I used to really be like anti-motivational quotes.
Okay.
I was too cool for them. And I remember at one point my sister, in the middle of my divorce, my sister texted me and she's like, "You're posting quotes on Instagram. You must be down bad." But you know, there's a lot that have started just like speaking to me. Time under tension matters. Nobody cares, work harder.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good one. Yeah. No, I feel like there's a lot of good quotes, and you see them all day long on social media these days, and you're like, "Ooh, that's a good one."
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Gotta remember that. Yeah, and there's a great long one, "The Man in the Arena." Okay, I could not possibly quote the whole thing, but basically, it's talking about all of the voices that have opinions, but the only opinion that matters is the man in the arena.
Oh, I like that.
If you're the one in there doing it,
I'm gonna look it up. Now I want to know what the whole like proper quote is. What is a skill you would like to learn?
Piano.
Oh, why do you do it?
You know, I've actually kind of started. My daughter is super into music. She's about to start 6th grade band.
Nice.
It's been a whole thing. And we got her this really cool app that's like a little keyboard, and it basically gamifies piano. And like, I have found myself playing with it way more than she does.
What was this when we were little? Like, we would be good at everything.
I kick myself every day. My mom tried to sign me up for piano lessons. My mom's a beautiful piano player. And she's got a baby grand piano, and just I could not. I took piano lessons when I was little, and my sister is like 8 years older than me, and she also took piano, but she was really good, and I did not enjoy it. And so, like, when I was supposed to practice, I would just like elbow it and do anything but have to practice. I've never been a finesse type of woman. Obviously, the rugby, just you hit something, keep it. You should play the drums, maybe. There you go. My few years of clarinet in the high school band, weren't it. I played the clarinet too. Yeah. How's this for like a foresee into the future? I took clarinet for a few years with the band, and just like last chair. I hated it. I would not practice, but eventually tried out to be a drum major. And I was like, you know what I could do is boss all of these people around and wear sequins. This is perfect. So that's what I did. What is the favorite city that you have visited? I went to Edinburgh this year. And it was really cool. The pictures look beautiful. The weather was beautiful, and it was like there's like one street that looks like Hogwarts. Yeah. Hogwarts. It was just like Diagon Alley. Yes, and it was like, this is magical. That's cool. Every minute of it. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. How long were you there? A week. Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like you were there for. Well, we only spent like a day in the city, and the rest of it was out in the countryside. Yeah, it's just like beautiful. It's wild to believe like people live like this. It's a little tough to fly back into DFW concrete jungle. Like, my ancestors were like, "Yep, this is it." So Will and I were in Hawaii recently, and we're like, "Gosh, like everything is so beautiful," and so we're like, "We've got to find the beauty. Like, what is the beauty in DFW?" And so we laughed, and we're like, "The beauty is the fancy cars that are driving around. That's all that we can like." It's the people. It's the ability to make a living. Yeah. I mean, you can't really put a price on being able to go, you know what? I'm going to start a business. Yep. And I'm going to call my friends and look at me. 3 years later, we're going to do $1 million in business this year. I'm so excited for you. 3% awesome. Of women-owned businesses ever do. I love it. And so it's like, maybe I'll reserve my judgment about DFW. Yeah, exactly. We'll just keep visiting these other places. Yes. What's your favorite construction project that you have been a part of? The restaurants are just fun because I get to visit them.
Okay.
And they're like, in terms of what we do, they're very small projects. In terms of just coolness, we got to do the SMU men's basketball locker room.
Oh, that's
which was
neat.
just cool to
That
be able
is
to
cool.
wander around in that building, without a crowd. It was really fun.
That is neat. I think the projects that you can actually interact with are the ones that people are like the most, they feel the most special about.
Right. I mean, as much as we love to see a data center project come in, I will never get to step foot in this building again.
Yeah, and you're never going back in the SME locker room. Like you got your pictures and off you go. It's nice to be able to go to those projects that the public is welcome to. Right. Let's see, what's a piece of advice to someone just starting out in the industry?
It would be take every meeting and meet as many people as you can. You never know, where you may be in a few years, where they may be in a few years, what piece of advice, who they may know. Who you may just click with, like I've got.
I mean, it was pretty random when we met,
right.
And I can't remember who introduced us, but there wasn't any direct job.
Right, there wasn't any reason we needed to meet. You were working for an engineering firm. Yep. I was working for a GC, but at some point when I started Archer, you're like, okay, let me make some intros. And I like sat down to my inbox and I had 14 emails from you, people I had no business talking to. Yeah. And it was just like, oh, man, thank you.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things to do.
You're so good at it.
Well, I feel like somebody had to help me, how do you get in? How do you get these introductions? And if you've spent years building that, relationship, pass it on.
Yeah. I mean, like you were talking with John Riggins recently about how construction is a small town. It truly is. You never know, when you're going to cross paths with this person again. And, are they going to remember something rude you said, or like it's just never worth it.
Yeah. Don't burn those bridges. Awesome. Well, I think this wraps us up. So thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.